First of all, again, thanks for having me, guys. Um, really excited to share a little bit of my journey, my background, work, and then also having this space for us to chat. Um, cool. So maybe I can start talking a little bit about me. My name is Marcos, 30 years old, from the outskirts of Brazil, more specifically Rio de Janeiro, San Paulo and Rio de Janeiro. For who don't know what is the outskirts are the favelas. But I am more specifically from Baixada Fluminense, where is a city with, I think, with the highest density population in Latin America. Like a very tiny city, but a lot of people living there. This place is also the place that I have like my first affected memories, the place that I built my sense of community, my sense of culture, was the place that, basically kind of like where I built the foundation of who I am, not only personally, but as a designer too. And then it was also the place that I have my first contact with digital, first through the fliperamas, like the games. So I love to work with fliperamas, to play video games. But then with internet, which was like a big change in my life because I had so much kind of like access to a lot of other things, other cultures, other types of music, other like context and people. And it was also the place where I get the first contact with the term design. But then I kind of like choose like naturally design just because I was kind of like trying to finding something to do that I could have a nice space on the market and have a career path, something that I could get money, but at the same time, it would still give me some sort of like creative freedom. You know, I was thinking about like music, I was thinking about art, I was thinking about fashion, but somehow design for me resonates greatly. And ever since I kind of like been living this journey. Right after I started my college, it was in graphic design in 2012. I joined my first job. I was interning on this international digital driven studio called Huge Inc., where I've worked there for like 5 years. It was like a great school for me. And then one thing that was super important at Huge was that they were so focused on the users, like user driven kind of like product conception, which makes me be really kind of like empathic with who is going to use the experience I've kind of like building. So yeah, it was a place where I kind of like build the foundation of how we can kind of thinking about the target audience's needs. I've worked there for 5 years, and then after that, I go to Accenture Interactive. Accenture Interactive is a huge consultancy company. Inside of them, they have like Accenture Interactive Song, which is basically their digital kind of side. And inside of this inside of like the digital space, I kind of like had the experience of looking for projects, but from a global kind of like commercial perspective, where everything kind of like shifts, the scale shift, the amount of like problems have to deal shift. The teams are bigger, the operations are bigger. So going from some sort of like a boutique design to a more global gives me this kind of like overall look of how those different kind of like services and scales works. Then after 2 years, I started to work at Working Coal. I don't know if you guys know Working Coal, but it's like a great product, digital product agency. It's international too. They have some studios around the world. And then it was like the place that I started to kind of like build what is my vision of design today, where they were like pretty much focusing on first create great product experience, but at the same time thinking about like how that brand would behave into that product, how we can kind of like translate the brand pillars to a product experience. It was super challenging because we were like talking about like the concept itself of the product, like the structure, the framework navigation, even like the copy, even like a small interaction could kind of translate somehow the way that brand behaves or translates some pillar of that brand. And that's why I kind of like joined Porto Rocha, because I was really resonating with this vision. I've always been that person that took the extra like attention to the visual details. I was the person that really liked to do like beautiful kind of like designs. I was spending more time than other people, and I was taking care more of other people. It's not that I am like special, but out of like the team members, I was part of the ones that really liked to take a special attention to the visual narratives I was building, and Porto Rocha was like a great like space for me to build what I think is like the vision that I'm resonating the most today, which is basically the intersection between like creating something that is iconic, that has its own personality, character, and at the same time respecting the user needs, the target audience like input to the experience. That's where I like to kind of like lead. That's where I like to kind of look, playing between these two spaces for me seems to be like a great direction as like an interactive designer today. And yeah, for that, I brought some case studies that I think kind of like translate, but at the same time, show a little bit of my journey of how I've been like building this vision. And yeah, what makes me kind of like believes on this way of approaching interactive design. The first one is the project we did for Sundance Film Festival. Sundance Film Festival is like maybe the biggest independent film festival of the world. They are huge. And then they are kind of like the festival who people that really like cinema go to know what would be like the next great director, or what would be the hottest film next year. So Sundance is like this, they build this credibility with the cinema community. And for the identity itself, the idea is to pretty much take this film kind of motif as the foundation concept to it, and then using it as like this platform of bringing this idea of creating a cinematographic experience throughout the touch points, throughout the brand experience. um, going like from using these as like this window, like this portal that transmits you to the movie experience, um, to like exploring its archive and really kind of like find the movies you wanna see. And then for the product, the idea was to kind of really be based on that motif, and then kind of like everywhere you look at the interface, you would see the logo somehow. So from the UI, like the buttons, and then also like the format of the UI, until like the scrolls, and then always kind of like relating to this idea of the logo and the rounded corners of the logo, but also this concept of the role of the film. The idea is to pretty much like, how can we kind of like translate this concept to the most variety of moments of the experience possible. Then I think in terms of like the system, it works really well. The idea of using like a dark mode really resonates to this idea of emulating a cinematographic experience, just because when you enter into a cinema room, everything's like kind of like dark, putting the content in front. So that's more or less the idea of the dark mode here. And then at the same time, kind of like mixing these sans serif display font, which is like the font that gives character to the brand, with this monotype font, which makes everything feels a little bit more archival vibes, let's say, pretty much more technical, and then really kind of like balance like these two sides of the brand. And we can see how it works really, really well on the product too. And then, the idea was to kind of like really build this from the very like small piece of the design system into like bigger ones, like bigger compositions, some like interesting and immersive screens and moments. So I think after this project, we think that stayed in my mind is like, with interactive design, we can really translate a brand manifestation to the digital world. Like there is a way for you to kind of like, at least visually, translate the pillars and make this feels like consistent throughout the touch points. Another case study that I'd like to walk through with you guys is like Grau. For who don't know, Grau is a lighting brand. They build this beautiful lights products. Like the designs are great. If you don't know, I really recommend you to go to their website and explore the products. It's really beautiful designs. And when we were starting the project, they confront us with this idea of how we can emulating sensations through a brand experience. They kind of like were trying to take the brand from a more industrial and functional place to a more how can I say, emotional but also artistic place. And then based on this, our response was, what if we use the light as this element that triggers people to connect to the here and now, to the present? And what are the sensations light could somehow kind of like sparkle in people? For this, we kind of divided the brand into kind of like lines of expression. The first one is this elemental, which resonates with the background of the brand, the more functional side of the brand. So the idea is to kind of having a way to communicate that is less design possible, but at the same time communicating really on point, really straightforward and direct. And on the other side is like the more expressive and also sensorial side of the print, where we try to use different visual gestures to emulate what would be the feeling of the lighting. And then based on that, we kind of like expanded this system to understand how we can kind of use the same concept basis, but for the digital. And then we kind of like expanded to these 3 other pillars, where it comes from, like this idea of giving people space and giving them time to take their decisions with time, going through understanding that the light is an element that is constantly in movement. It is like an element that is in constantly extension and hugs you. And it is a really warm kind of like element, but at the same time, it could support you, give you directions, give you a sense of focus. And then based on that, we started doing and creating the design system, where we can kind of like somehow see all these concepts kind of together, from the very small piece to like bigger moments of the experience. So we can see the expansion, we can see the light filling through the blur, we can see the serenity through the timing of the animations. They just really try to build an experience where people would feel good, but at the same time, they wouldn't feel rushed to just anything. And then we basically took this whole system and start to understanding how we could build out like the line of expression of the system itself. So we would have like time where we could go really editorial, really inspirational, really visual, showing what is like the more inspirational side of the website of the design system, to places where everything is still there, but at the same time you have everything you need to take your own decision. Everything is clear, like every path is clear for you, and then you can kind of like take your time, but yeah, to do the right decision, to buy the right product, because we are talking about a product that is not cheap, so it's not like a simple decision, but at the same time, the idea is to keep the feeling of translate the pillars throughout the experience. And then, yeah, from there, just expanding to understanding if there is places where we can kind of like balance editorial and functional, the editorial and the functional side at the same moment, where we can still like, even on like a very simple interaction, still kind of like exploring this idea of the pillars. And then as we are talking about the light presence, we found that the absence of light would also be something interesting here, but in this case, it would be much more to future products that like are special or are a limited edition. The idea is every time that the users came to a product page and see a black background, they would know that it would be about something new, something special. And then the last application here is like this product page, where for me is a great example of how we can put everything together, all the pillars, all the ideas, and see how the system can behave to really, again, inspire, but at the same time resonate with the overall vibe of the brand, with this pretty beautiful and immersive storytelling, because the idea, again, at the end is to convince people to buy this product. It's not a cheap product. So we have this space to show what these products have, like, what are the great features these products have. So, yeah, I think with this product, this is like the learn I get from this product. Maybe we can not only translate how a brand behaves into digital, but we can also expand how we can kind of like take what we build for the brand on the, let's say, offline side and expanding it into the online side, like the digital space. That is still like resonate and still feel consistent throughout. And the last one that I'm bringing here is Vips. Vips is a streaming platform focused on concerts. So the idea is to basically you go there to watch concerts, both live and on-demand concerts. And the idea for this brand was to really try to balance both sides, which connects to the very beginning of my presentation. How can we bring iconic elements to serve a very utilitarian and functional experience? So the idea is to kind of like every single kind of element, from the logo to the typography to the iconography, how they feel like somehow with some personality, but never take the space of what is more important, which is in this case the content. And then the idea is to having some behaviors, like some ways of manifestate this brand, going from a very kind of like simple one, very functional, to the one that we can actually elevate the artist, brand artist vibe, always serving the artist as this key element on the brand experience. And then build a design system that feels flexible. And again, don't want it to sound like repetitive, but the idea is to really kind of like having a way to embrace the artist kind of like personality, but at the same time having like a utilitarian, and you can also see Vip's personality at the end. Because again, always everything is about like consistent here. So if you see a social media ad and at the same time a gift card on product, they should sell, they are coming from the same place, very consistent. And then this is like just a slide that I put together, some explorations that we did, because I mean, I think the concept, like talking about it, it seems to be like easy, but it was really about trying to balance every single element on the visual composition of the product, to understanding until where we go, like in terms of giving the product itself personality versus taking care and be aware of not stolen the protagonism from the content itself, from the artists. So we did a lot of explorations, trying to sometimes using the typography bigger, sometimes the typography is smaller, sometimes trying to use like this translucent UI so everything feels even more immersive, and then you don't take too much attention from the content. Sometimes it's really about like understanding where the logo of the artist lives and how it can kind of like integrate it into the system. a lot of things that we have to think about and test and stress out until we get to the final kind of like product, which I think is a great balance. Like we can really see VIPs there, but yeah, the artist is always up front. So this is the explore tab on the product. And then another challenge we had for this project was to think about scale, because they have apps from the smartphone to TV and watch. So it was about to also create a system that could really flex from the TV, let's say, to, for example, sunglass, a smart glass, I think. I don't remember the name, but yeah, going from this and then into a smaller scale screen for the app. And then, yeah, really think about how we can make the experience immersive. One idea that we have is like, this is basically most of the decisions we did for the product came from this moment here, the live moment, which is like one of the most important moments of the experience, where our idea was to try to emulate what would be the real life experience of being in a concert, where you can see the artist, but at the same time you can interact with other people. So that's why we are giving too much emphasis to the way that people are reacting to it and what people are saying about it, just to emulate this idea of you talking to someone side by side with you when you are watching a concert. And then the idea is to still have a very immersive experience. That's why we have the translucent UI. And then, yeah, the reactions itself, I think only kind of like adds to the overall experience. But then again, yeah, the idea was to really think about scale and then kind of like trying to add some sort of personality, but at the same time, always respecting the needs of the design system, from the very small piece to the bigger ones, to the pages, to the scroll navigations and bigger and complexier compositions. So I think, yeah, I mean, this is like some sort of like a ongoing conclusion, let's say, but I've been kind of really resonating with this idea of interactive design is branding. More and more throughout the years, I've been thinking that inside of the branding, we have a pillar that is digital, and the way that the brand behaves in digital is as important as any other kind of like branding manifestation. So why not thinking about the conception of the branding from the digital perspective, or how the brand is going to behave on the digital perspective. But at the same time, I think it also means like, for that, we need to put everyone together, like the interactive designer with the brand designer, with the strategist, thinking about like the brand concepting from the very beginning. And yeah, I just brought other like examples, other projects I've been working, which I think there is a way for us to build great experience, but at the same time, experience that have like a point of view and felt unique, and but at the same time talks properly with the target audience, understanding the target audience, and yeah, establish this communication where people are always come back to your website and try to explore, try to buy something and do some specific task. And yeah, I think that's it. I think it was a little bit shorter than expected, but yeah.